Remember, there's some pretty important information here in the disclaimer. You might want to give the video a quick pause and read it.
Oh, hey everybody, it's me, Sonic! Sonic the Hedgehog! Just here to remind you that if you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button. And for even more amazing customs, don't forget to subscribe to Wake Angel 2001, because between you and me, they're way past cool.
Hello my friends, this is Wake Angel 2001, and this video was delayed, kind of. I did make it, like, now, but the reveal of these figures was delayed is what I'm trying to get at. This is a commission for Zack, and it is of his friend's two characters, Todstar and Sky, the echidnas. They're both echidnas. Alright, so backstory. Zack wanted to get these two figures as gifts for his friends, and he did not want me to reveal them online until his friends had them in hand. So this is actually what I was doing for most of the first 2 weeks of November, so if it looked like I wasn't doing a lot of stuff in the beginning of the month, it's because I was working on these and not revealing any previews or talking about them because, you know, I was respecting the commissioner's request to keep things private until the time came. But now that his friends have their toys, I am allowed to make this video and post it so that you can all see these two characters. Okay, so let's start with Sky, because she was the first one that I made. She kind of looks like the 25 years later version of Julie Sue. That's kind of cool. So I'm kind of already making a 25 years later Julie Sue here. So the base figure is Dr. Halsey, of course. That's becoming my go-to for female Sonic figures. But I decided to try a new and unique approach to the head. I happen to have a spare Knuckles cap, is what I'm going to call it, left over from one of the Chaos figures that I made. And I had a print for it's the rabbit avatar print with no ears that came out a little bit botched, like not so bad that I would want to throw it away, but not good enough for me to actually use, because the muzzle came out all deformed. The eyes came out good, but the muzzle was completely messed up. So since this echidna muzzle is a completely different shape than usual, I would easily just be able to sculpt over that, and then the fact that the muzzle was botched is not that big of an issue. Although it was actually rather difficult to cut away most of this head to fit inside of Knuckles' cap. Yeah, I thought, oh, I'll just smooth out the sides a little bit, take a bit off the top, and no! I had to cut nearly half of this head's mass away in order to make that cap fit inside of it. That was quite a lot of cutting and sanding and you know, doing a whole bunch of things. But yes, I was able to make that head fit in there, and this could be a way to make female echidna character faces, because this face looks a great deal more feminine than simply, you know, working with Knuckles' brow ridge. Like, Knuckles is a very masculine brow ridge. Of course, the fact that the character has some bangs that come down over her face to hide the transition of the part that I 3D printed and the part that's originally Knuckles is actually quite useful, because let me tell you, that did not look like a very good seam when I just stick in the face into the cap. It did not look convincing until I added her hair. But yes, that is part of the process. It's how things work. Now, because this character kind of looks like the 25 years later Julie Sue, she is quite a bit bustier than Dr. Halsey. So, time for another toyetic boob job. You know, like, yeah, it's a good design. Yeah, so yeah, that's you all know that it's you know, it's like a bustier. She's a very pretty character. And she had high-heeled shoes. So this is where my friend Corey Sonic Fan comes in handy again, as he was able to provide me with the 3D models for Blaze the Cat's shoes, with the fluffy sock cuff thing removed, of course. So yeah, just naked high heels, which is very useful. I attached them to the legs, set to do a little bit of sculpting to, again, hide the transition of pre-made parts to other pre-made parts. And, of course, I had a spare Knuckles tail that I could just graft onto her rear because, you know, like, why bother to make a Knuckles tail when you have one, right? And this might be a spoiler for stuff I'm making in the future, but these hands are 3D printed based off of the Rouge the Bat model for Sonic Force's Speed Battle. Specifically her alternate costume from Sonic Force's Speed Battle, Elite Agent Rouge. Ooh, is an Elite Agent custom coming up soon? Maybe. This is where I wanted to do a little bit of talking about printing hands. Because, like, fingers are hard. Like, maybe the bigger the hand gets, the easier the fingers get, but at this scale, fingers are hard. So, you can see the hand on the left is made with the hand printed standing upright on its glove cuff, like the Infinity Gauntlet on display, while the hand on the right is the same one, but printed on the back of its palm. As you can see, the fingers on the latter one came out much better. Of course, there is a trade-off. If you look at the back of the hand, the one that was printed on its back, of course, all the marring and support media went there, while the back of the glove looks significantly better on the one that printed upright. So it's a pick your poison situation, and I decided to go with the technique of the right because it's a lot easier to smooth over the sculpt on the back of the hands than it is to fix fingers, especially fingers that are as tiny as this one. So those are most of the parts, except that she had some bangle-style bracelets, 2 on each arm, and I did try to sculpt them, but sculpting something so small and precisely shaped was not gonna happen. So I 3D printed them. I used Tinkercad to set up a model in the right size and shape, and I totally just printed them. Yeah, so these are 3D printed bracelets for an action figure. And here she is. Yep. I put those bracelets on. In order to take them off, you had to pop her arms off, like, you know, out of their elbow or shoulder sockets or whatever, but, you know, you don't really need to do that. And they just sit naturally like bangle bracelets do. So that was Sky, the Echidna. Like I said, she kind of looks like a 25 years later Julie Sue, and I think that's really cool. It's a nice character design. And, so let's move on to her mate, the Todstar, the other Echidna. I like that Todstar has some of his dreadlocks tied back in a dreadlock ponytail. I find that amusing. It's a kind of a cool thing. And also, he has the Southern Cross on his chest. The Southern Cross is a constellation that is visible only from the Southern Hemisphere and is one of the ways that navigators can find a way to point south. Just as the Big Dipper and Little Dipper can be used to find true north, the Southern Cross can be used to find true south in the Southern Hemisphere. And yes, it is a major feature on the Australian national flag, because this couple lives in Australia. That's part of the reason why it took this long to get the video out, because their figures had to get shipped all the way to Australia for them to receive it. And then when received, that's when I would be allowed to release this video. So, yeah, it might have only taken a couple of days if they lived in the US, but they live on the other side of the planet. And I do like that I seem to have a pretty decent following in Australia. This is like the third thing I sent to Australia in the past 2 months. So, that's like pretty interesting that I have a fan following on the other side of the planet. Of course, the UK is still my biggest international audience. I sent more stuff to the UK than anywhere else aside from other places in the US, but that's neither here nor there. So as this is a male Echidna, I don't need to go making a whole 3D printed face for him. I can just temporarily pop out the Knuckles head from his cap and do the things where I painted the proper colors. New eyes, new eye color. Didn't have to repaint the muzzle because the skin tone is the same, but I did have to do some modification to the back. I cut off the 3 dreadlocks on the back of the head, and I tried sculpting new ones on. Only issue is that with the sculpted ponytail, it was way too back heavy. Did not work. The figure kept falling backwards, and to make it stand, I had to lean him way farther forwards than I was comfortable with. It looked weird. Oh, and yes, he does have a cap. I'm told that this was based on a cap accessory that you can wear in Sonic Forces. That's why it says Gamer on the front. Kind of like that, Gamer love. But yes, onto the ponytails. These sculpted ponytails were too heavy, so I went back to Corey Sonic Fan and asked, "Hey Corey, think you can make me a custom shape?" I showed him a picture of the dreadlock ponytail as I had tried to sculpt it, and I asked him if he could make something like that in a 3D model so that I could 3D print it. I went with a pointedly lower density than usual so that it would be extra light. This lighter ponytail, it does much less of a problem. It's much less of a problem. I don't have to use a figure stand or anything like that. But you know what? I'm getting way ahead of myself. Let's go back to stuff. Todstar does not have gigantic boxing gloves like Knuckles has. He has regular-sized hands. So these are shadow hands, which have been cut off. As a callback, these are the very same hands that came off with the shadow figure that I used to make Mephiles the Dark for Sonic Panic. So there we go. They are simply glued on to the glove cuffs that Knuckles' original boxing gloves were part of, so that I can preserve the wrist articulation. And with proper sculpting over and a little bit of hiding, they kind of just look like he has different gloved hands coming out of a sleeved arm. So yeah, there you go. And the feet just need a bit of a repaint and a little bit of resculpting to look more like shoelaces. Not too big a deal there. So that's it. So originally, Todstar was coming out looking like this. I had to use a Jazz Wars figure stand just to get him to take some pictures. And like I said, did not like how back heavy that made him. So, boom. Here he is with the new ponytails attached. I did have to cheat a little bit. I put a little bit of epoxy on the back of his heels to give him just a little bit more heel support, but he's able to stand without having to lean extremely forward. So there we go. So yeah, that is Todstar the Echidna. So put next to each other, it is Todstar and Sky. And as you can, I wanted to take this side by side so you can see, like, well, of course, they're a couple commission, so of course they're going to be seen next to each other. But also you can see that with the Dr. Halsey body, you don't necessarily make a super tall female character. She can still be shorter than a male character. So, you know, just in case some people were worried that using Dr. Halsey would turn this into a line where you had super tall girls next to all the boys, there you go. That's not necessarily going to be the case. Alright, so thank you all for sitting through me with this. I'm happy you all, if you're still here, I'm happy you sat through this longer than normal custom video. I know my custom videos tend to be a little bit briefer, so I guess this is yeah, that's about all I have to say. Thank you all for watching. This is Wake Angel 2001 signing off.